Hey guys, this is Jason from SoCal Accessories. Today I'm going to be showing you guys step by step how to install the low beam and high beam to LEDs on a 2018 Honda Pilot. The steps should be exactly the same for like 2016 to 2020, I believe. We're just trying to get rid of this ugly yellow light. We want something that's going to be more of a pure white or like a 6K color to match with this nice strip that Honda put on there. So I'll be showing you guys step by step for low and high in this video. So the passenger side is going to be a lot easier to do than the driver's side. Driver's side, I believe we got to remove this plastic and the top part of the intake. Passenger side, we can just reach our hand in there and pull them out. So we'll be showing you guys how to do that and what has to come off to get this driver's side done. Also at the end of the video, I'll be trying to show you guys either a video clip or some pictures of how the light output looks for low beam and high beam at nighttime, where we'll try closing the door, shutting off the lights to see if you guys can see a better picture of that. Alright you guys, so this is the passenger side first. So right there where that blue plug is, that's the high beam. And over here, I don't know if you guys can see that in the camera, but right here where the black plug is, that's the low beam. So for both of these, you twist counterclockwise to remove them. So let's start with the high beam. Twist it, the bulb comes out. If you guys have the lights on, please make sure not to touch them because the bulbs will still be very hot. And this is the low beam, which is the one closer to the fender. So this one doesn't want to twist out, so let me try unplugging it first. And then it twists out a lot easier. Okay, so to unplug this one first, you have a little latch that latches onto this piece. You push downward on that with your finger. And then once you push downward on the clip, you push it down. It's basically going to be the same thing on this high beam. So let me try and show you this one, since the camera could probably view this side or this bulb a little easier. Okay, so you see that little piece right there? You push down on that plastic and then it will separate. Okay, so I don't know if you could see that in the video. That little plastic tab you push down, same thing for the low beam, but it's gonna be black. You just push down right here and then pull downward on the plug and it will unplug. After you unplug the low beam first, then it will twist out. All right, so when you take out the bulb, usually you always wanna pay attention to where the bigger tab is at for H11s, which is the size this one uses on the low beam. Because usually the bulb goes in a specific way. Most of the time you push this in, twist it, and the wire is gonna be facing down, but they've made some headlights where for some reason the wire is facing upward or at an angle. So usually if you're having a hard time putting it in and twisting it, don't force it. You might be doing it the wrong way. So pay attention to that. For the high beam kit, a lot of these newer kits come with rings to fit 9006 and 9005. For the high beam, we're going to be using the rings that say 9005 since that's the bulb size for the high beam on this vehicle. If the bulb size would have been 9006, we would have put those rings on there. The way you put these rings, you just push them down to that gap right there. And then this one, same thing, it's going to push in one way, twist to lock in place. On LEDs, they are polarity sensitive, so when you plug this to the stock harness, if it doesn't turn on, you're going to unplug it and flip it around. Power and ground do matter what side they're on for LEDs. Also, if you're putting LED kit on these cars, I'll put the link for the ones we're using, but I don't suggest using the four-sided kits or like the bigger kits, bigger chips that are cob chips. Just because the chip's bigger doesn't mean it's necessarily brighter. That's the older technology. The light output on those cob kits usually aren't a good light output on projector headlights. All right, you guys, so most kits have a plus and negative, so you know what side's power, what side's ground. Most vehicles, the ground's going to be a black wire. Most of the time, there's some vehicles that are brown and brown or whatever, so for those, you just plug them in. If they don't turn on, unplug them, flip them around. For this one, I was able to look at the plug, and this clip that's with the side where it shows power and ground is going to be facing towards the part that actually latches in. So I'm going to plug this one in first. I'm going to try and plug it in first and then put the bulb in and twist it in place. Action. Alright, so you plug it in till you hear that little clip lock in place. Then you have to put it in the hole, push it in, and remember you gotta figure out where that bigger tab was at. Once you feel it push into place, you twist it to lock it in. And with this one, it locked in like I said they usually do, with the cable facing downward. I don't know if you guys can see that. Make sure you guys plug them in good too, because some people only get 1 or 2 tabs in, and then you'll end up getting moisture condensation in your headlights from all the tabs not being locked in place, because then that little seal or gasket doesn't get to keep the condensation out like it should. So we're gonna do the same thing now on this high beam bulb. All right, so for the high beam on this year, at least, high beam, the power cable I believe is the gray one, and then the black one should be the ground. So I'm plugging it in, power to power, ground to ground. And we push this in and twist it to lock it in place. The same thing with this one. The way that it latches in is with the wire face downward, which is most of the time going to be the case. So this is the easy side. We're going to turn on the lights to test them, make sure they work before we do the driver's side. All right, cool. All right, so low beam's on. All right, you guys, so the low beam and high beam are on. You can see the color matches with the strip. It looks a lot nicer and it's going to be brighter at night. So that's the LED kit, and that's the ugly yellow halogen bulbs that don't match up with that strip at all. All right, so for the driver's side, the intake's in the way, so you pull it upward on this. You're gonna hear them unclip. I guess you could remove the whole thing. So you're gonna remove that because you have to take off these clips. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Or we may be able to just take these 2 off to pull off this piece, because this part is not going to be in our way. We just need to get our hand in here, and this piece of the intake's actually in the way. So we're going to take these off, try and pull it up. We'll let you guys know if there's anything else holding this in. Okay guys, so we just used a Phillips screwdriver to remove those. So you just twist them out. For the base twist, just hold the base with your finger, twist it out. Once you get it up enough, you pull it out, or pull one piece off where you could unscrew it all the way. So I'll show you with this one. See how it's spinning? You just hold it with your finger until it's out all the way and it comes out. So you do that for both of them. Once you push it back in, you don't have to screw it back in, you just pop it until it clips. To remove this, you pull upward. There's a little rubber gasket right here. Kind of just wobble on it and it comes off. Once that's off, now we should be able to reach with our hand. Yeah, low beam and high beam we could reach, perfect. We're gonna twist them off counterclockwise, the same exact way we just did on the passenger side. Put the bulb in, twist it. We're gonna test the bulbs before we put the intake and plastic back on. You always wanna double check your work. You don't wanna put something, some of these cars you gotta pull off headlights or bumpers and headlights just to change a bulb on some vehicles. You don't wanna ever put your stuff completely back together, then you're gonna try them out and something's not gonna be plugged in correctly. So I always suggest testing out your work before. Don't have the power to the headlights on. Obviously, while you're working on the vehicle, they'll get hot. Besides that, you don't want to pop a fuse or anything. All right, you guys, so these are plugged in now. As you can see, they're on just like the other side. So now, basically the same exact way you took off the intake, you're gonna put it back on. So you push this in, push it into that rubber. Once you feel it push in all the way, get the 2 clips you had. Line up the holes, push them in, and then you're just going to pop back on that other plastic cover, same way you took it off. Like I said, I'll try and post some pictures or videos how the light output on these look. You don't have to use the same exact kit. I just, if you like the way these look, obviously you can buy them. I just don't suggest using those cheap 4-sided kits or those cob chip kits, because the light output on those, in my experience and from what my customers have all told me, they look like garbage. they don't project very well, the light output. Some vehicles, for some reason, they don't even shoot as far as the factory bulbs did. So when you put this part on, you gotta get this latch in first, and then push it in. I'm just gonna clip everything in all the way. And that's it. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll try and post more videos. I'll be doing a separate video on how to change the parking lights or the fog lights and the interior lights also. Alright, thanks. Well, it's low and fog, and this is the low and high beam. Low and fog, and that's just the low beam. Alright you guys, so this is this dark street that I found. So you guys can see the light output. That's just the low beam. That's the low and high. And then the low and the fogs. So I'm gonna drive down the road so you guys can see how it looks. Alright, so currently that's low beam only. This is low and high beam. And this is the light output, low beam, and with the fog lights on. So you can see how well the fog lights help to give some light output to the lower and to the corner areas. For being just the factory DRL, that's really bright. That's the low beam right there. That's the low beam with fog lights. Let's turn off the fogs. That's the low beam and the high beam.